Hello, everyone. This is my first blog post of the spring semester, my sophomore year, and this book that I'm going to be reviewing is actually from last semester's reading, and it's called Five Minds for the Future by Howard Gardner. Now, some of you might recognize the name because Howard Gardner is a renowned psychologist, most famously known for creating the theory of multiple intelligences. So I was very familiar with this author prior to reading this book because I had taken psychology both in high school and college, and I was in a gifted and talented program in high school modeled after his theory of multiple intelligences. So I was very curious when picking up this book. The questions that I'm going to be answering today are: what lessons did I learn about myself from the book? How am I going to apply those lessons to my daily life? And whether or not I would recommend this book. So, first off, what did I learn about myself? Well, to begin, the five minds that Howard Gardner posits are going to be most needed in the future are the disciplined mind, the synthesizing mind, the creating mind, the respectful mind, and the ethical mind. All of them are surprisingly straightforward. Um, Disciplined mind is about learning a particular discipline and the manner of thinking associated with that discipline. Synthesizing mind is drawing from multiple sources and copious amounts of information and arriving at some kind of conclusion that takes from each thing. Creative mind is thinking of new solutions to problems or even new questions. Respectful mind is really, I think of as a multicultural mind, accepting other people's differences and different backgrounds. Ethical mind was the one that I found a little bit wishy-washy, but ethical mind basically is just seeing yourself as a valuable citizen and what your moral obligation and responsibility is within your given profession. Now, I learned about myself that I think the minds that I am most comfortable with, or think that I already have a pretty good grasp on, are the respectful mind and the ethical mind. And the synthesizing and disciplined mind are the ones that I'd like to work on the most and cultivate, especially the disciplined mind, because I like that Howard Gardner drew a difference between simply imbibing subject matter and facts about a particular discipline, which oftentimes is our approach to school. We need to learn as much as we can to be a lawyer, doctor, whatever, what have you. However, we also need to be analyzing what are the ways in which a lawyer or a doctor thinks. That because at the end of the day, that's what really makes them what they are. And for me, I think a way that I'm going to apply the lessons learned to his life, to my life, is by trying to think of the way both a lawyer would approach certain situations and problems and the way a human rights activist would approach situations and problems. Because oftentimes I find that they're drastically different, and I'm trying to come up with a way to intersect and combine the two since I'm interested in international human rights law, and that would also be synthesizing as well. So um, I think it's actually more of a matter of me changing my approach to what I'm learning than actually doing something drastically different. For instance, one thing that I noticed, as minor as it may seem, is the way the syllabi was created by my intro to law professor, who is a lawyer, and my intro to international relations research, who my professor is a researcher but also interested in human rights. And I noticed that the way they organized their syllabi was very indicative of their way of thinking and their way of presenting. Both of them, although you would expect different approaches, broke their syllabi down very similarly, and it was very linear, very methodical, and they were also both very long because they address every single detail of every possible question you could come up with. And so that, to me, was a mind opener, and just thinking of how I should be approaching my writing or my thinking, if these are the people who I'm trying to model my thinking after in order to obtain a more disciplined mind. Now, I like that Gardner drew a difference between the uses of the mind and the inherent abilities, because his theory of five intelligences, or multiple intelligences, sorry, is more about what you're already given with, your natural ability. But this book is talking about ways to use your mind, and so it's a lot more tactile. You feel like you actually have a say in this. For example, you can actually change the way you use your mind. It's not just what you're given with. I think another way I'm going to apply this to my life is by going to my professor's office hours and getting to know them on a more personal level. And not to say that I didn't already go to office hours, but now when I go to office hours, I have something different to look at, picking up on their mannerisms and the way they approach questions, for example, things that I might not ordinarily pick up on. Another thing is in terms of recommending this book. I personally like books that deal more to do with my daily life and my thinking that I may be able to apply to the classroom or professional setting, but also just in my daily life if I'm just going about my day. And this book to me seemed a little bit constrained to just school and work, school and work, school and work. And to me, I kept thinking like this is ways to help me in what I do, but not necessarily in who I am. I feel like other books that we've read in the past, such as Untethered Soul, I appreciated a lot more because it dealt with more of who I am versus what I do. And while I am a scholar, that is definitely a part of who I am. I just felt like the book could have taken the lessons and maybe applied it in a more general sense and not just be confined to school and the workplace. So that would be my main critique of the book. I could see myself recommending this to perhaps a freshman in college or in high school who wonders, why am I learning all these things and how are they going to help me in what XYZ that I want to do, and to tell them to change the way they're using their mind and approach their schoolwork different and approach their schoolwork as a means of cultivating these different type of minds. However, with somebody that I already feel has a firm grasp on that concept, I probably wouldn't recommend this book. Honestly, I think that Gardner should stick to psychology. I mean, although this is obviously rooted in psychology, but the writing style, the narrative style seemed very forced and very odd to me because, as he mentioned time and time again in the introduction, it was a policy prescription and not necessarily relaying the facts of his research like he does in, for example, his theory of multiple intelligences. So all in all, that's what I have, and look out soon for another video where I'll be reviewing another book that we read over the winter break. Hope you have a nice day. Bye.